I studied the best-selling book Never Split the Difference, written by Chris Voss, the guy who is known for negotiating with terrorists for the FBI. And there are actually so many hidden gems there that can help us in our own selling negotiations, especially now with companies lowballing harder than ever because of budget uncertainty and layoffs and cuts. Some of these techniques that we're going to discuss have helped me and some of our GHA clients get an extra 15 to 50K more than the original offer. And I'm going to show you exactly how they work because I get DMs like these all the time. So I got this DM from Tony, and Tony said, "Hey, Sho, I don't get it. I was the most experienced candidate, had all the skills they're looking for. So when the offer came in below what I expected, I was honestly surprised. They offered 90,000, but the max of the range is 110,000. I thought being the most qualified meant I'd automatically get the highest salary. What am I missing here?" This is what most people get wrong in selling negotiation. They think it's about logic and fairness.
I deserve this because I have X years of experience, I have XYZ skills, I have everything that they're looking for, they should pay me.
But negotiation isn't about what you deserve. Negotiation is about psychology and influence and working with each other to get a win-win. And Chris Voss figured this out when he was negotiating with kidnappers, and his tactics work in the job search and in the office too. Because according to a 2025 HBR study, only 37% of candidates negotiate their first offer. But for those who do, research from Carnegie Mellon shows that they earn over $1 to $1.5 million more over their career. So yes, this matters, and it can literally be the difference between you being a millionaire and not. I understand negotiating feels scary, but what's scarier? You having some awkward conversation with somebody or being underpaid for the rest of your career? I think you know what it is. I'd rather have some discomfort now than regret all these years later. Now, Voss has multiple tactics, but I wanted to know which ones specifically work for the job search and selling negotiations. So I asked 3 recruiters, all in different industries and specialties. All 3 said the same thing. These tactics work if used correctly. So let's go through them. The first tactic is the let them go first tactic. This is especially important because recruiters are trained to ask you for your current salary, your expectations, even before you meet the hiring manager. And this is for one reason and one reason only. They want to know your numbers so it can help them with their numbers. You see, they're often not getting your salary to lowball you, but they want to see if your current salary and expectations are within range of their own budget. But that's the biggest point that most people forget, is that they often already have this budget already. So you knowing it first helps you tenfold when it comes to negotiation process, which happens when they want to offer you a job. So the next time the recruiter asks you, "So tell me, what's your current salary?" and 9 out of 10 times they will ask you, this is what I want you to say. "I'm happy to talk numbers as we move further along the process and ensure there's a good fit for both sides. But I'd love to ask you if you could share the budget from your end." And you saying this line just shows you're confident, you know how to play the game, and that you want to make this a win-win. Now, not all recruiters will go out and respond exactly,
"Yeah, my budget is 110,000. Yeah, our budget is 200,000.
They're not all going to do that, but if they do, fantastic. You can use that as a data point as you move on in this process. And if they don't share it and they push you, that's where you want to have a little bit of back and forth. Ideal best case scenario is that you actually don't give them your current salary, but if they really push, you can give them an expectation of what you want for your next role. So even in the first round interview with the phone screen with the recruiter, negotiations about salary are underway, but the real back and forth negotiations usually happen only until they give you an offer. So when you do get that offer, this is where the next few tactics come into play. Let's discuss them. So now you know the first tactic, which is to let them go first. The second tactic is the accusation audit. And this is where you say out loud the negative things the other person is thinking before they say it. It sounds weird, I know, but it works. So let's give an example that you got an offer that is below expectations. You can say something like this. "First of all, thanks so much for the offer. And I know this might seem like a big ask, and you're probably thinking already your budget is locked, but would love to see if there's any wiggle room here with the numbers." So this was actually the number one tactic that recruiters said instantly softens their resistance, especially in a year where budgets are already shrinking and they're getting pushback from all these different people. It can actually help your case. I sent one of my recruiter friends a note and asked, "Does this actually work?" And this is what they said. "Yeah, 100%. When candidates acknowledge the budget concerns first and empathizes from my side too, it disarms me. I'm more willing to go to bat for them because they're willing to go back for me." It works because you're addressing their objection before they can use it against you. And recruiters love it when you show empathy first. It makes their job easier, and it just shows them that you're human, that you're thinking about them. Of course, you want to get the best offer possible, but you understand that this is not just one person at stake here, right? The recruiter has a job to do, the hiring manager has a job to do, you have a job to do, and the more you can empathize with them, the easier it makes it for everybody. Now moving on to the third tactic, this is all about calibrated questions. These are the questions that start with how or what and not why. and they make the other person solve your problem. My clients love this because it turns the pressure back on the employer and not on themselves. Let's say they offer you $80,000 and you wanted over $100,000. Don't just say,
I want more. I demand more.
Don't do that, right? That's never gonna work if you are a kid about it, if you are immature about it, and all you do is ask, take. That's not gonna work. Instead, you can say something like this. I'm really excited about this role and thank you so much, but $80,000 is below what I was expecting for this position. I know we're far off here, but what are the chances that we can meet closer to 105,000? So remember, even if you wanted over 100,000, this is where you actually make the ask for a little bit higher than you actually want, because you want to expect them to not give you the exact number, but actually take you a little bit step down. But according to SHRM's 2025 salary benchmark report, they said 68% of companies actually have flexibility built into base pay ranges, but only when the candidates ask or push for it. So with calibrated questions, they shift the power dynamic. You're not demanding, you're collaborating to a solution that benefits both parties. Again, you're making it a win-win for everybody. And one important thing here is that you're not just talking until they give you an answer. This is actually when you say, what are the chances that we can meet here? And you just shut your mouth. Let silence do the power, because recruiters also feel the pressure on their side. Remember, they want you too. Some of them might be allergic to silence. Some of them might make them feel like, okay, well, he's asking a good question, I'm gonna speak, and maybe speak even more than they should, and tell you, well, yeah, we could do this and da-da-da, and there you go. The offer from this just ended up being more like this. Following up on that last note, the fourth tactic is mirroring. If you've ever been stuck in a negotiation and you felt, I don't know what to say when they push back, or the hiring manager shuts down and I panic, mirroring is the perfect answer. So let me read you a DM that I got, because this person was stuck in the exact same situation that mirroring can solve. I got this DM from Laura, and Laura said, Sho, I was negotiating yesterday and the recruiter hit me with, this is the highest we can do. And I froze. I didn't want to sound overly pushy, so I said, okay, I understand. And after that, the conversation just died. What should I have said instead? Great question. And it's completely fair that you froze. It's natural, right? But this is what I would recommend for you to think about next time. When you hear the words, this is the highest we can get, sometimes they mean it. Sometimes it is the highest and you know that there's no budge. But if they say things like, yeah, well, this is kind of the budget, this is when mirroring can really, really be powerful. And what that looks like is you repeating back to them of what they said, but just as a question. Let me give you an example. So they said, based on experience, the highest we can go is 85,000. Let's just say that. Instead of saying 85,000, okay, that's the best offer. I understand, I accept. I want you to say, I see, 85,000. You see what you're doing here? You're just repeating back to what they're saying, but as a question. But what's important about this is after you make that mirroring back, then again, you shut up and you let silence do the work. And with the silence, there'll be this awkwardness, they'll feel this, you'll probably feel this tension, but that's okay. Let them feel the awkwardness too, because then it will encourage them to do the talking. And usually this is where they'll say,
yeah, well, 85, you know what, like, that is the original offer, but we can see if there's any wiggle room here. I can take another check with HR and just see if there's anything else we can do. Let me ask you, what is it that you're looking for? Is 85 not gonna be a yes for you?
Right? You're just making them fill in that silence, and oftentimes they'll talk more than they want. So if you can hear some clues about like, yeah, I gotta talk to HR, and yeah, there might be some things that we can do, that's hint for there's actually more budget than we might have thought. And because you asked, because you want to work together on this, we can make this work. Or because you're the number one candidate and you're the exact person that we want, we don't want to let you slip. All of those signs are good signs that you can actually get more than what their first offer was. So now you know about letting them go first. Now you know about mirroring. Now you know about being quiet. The fifth tactic is all about strategic anchoring. And you might have heard anchoring before, where you give a big number out so that the smaller number feels more digestible. There is some truth to it, but let's go back to the book. So most people think Chris Voss says, anchor high as much as you can and throw out a really, really big, gigantic number. But he actually warns against that, because extreme anchors can actually kill deals. So I'm gonna show you another DM that I think is such a classic situation, and I'm gonna show you why anchoring too high cannot often be the right way to do this. So I got this DM from Tony, and Tony said, hey Sho, the recruiter asked for my salary expectations, so I gave a crazy big number. feeling optimistic that they were gonna go for a lower one from the one that I said, which is what I actually wanted. But now I haven't heard back and they've ghosted me. How should I have done it? Okay, Tony, first of all, not all hope is lost. Sometimes it can just take some time. But for the future, I would refrain from saying a crazy, gigantic number without any reference, without any market data, without you really thinking twice about it. Because there's anchoring, which can be effective, and then there's extreme anchoring, which can kill deals. What Chris Voss recommends in his book is when you need to anchor, you wanna use specific odd numbers backed by data. Here's what I think you should say, and a script that could work for you the next time you get an offer that's below expectations. You can say something like this: based on market data for this role in the city with my experience, the range that I'm seeing is usually around 92,000 to 115,000. I'd really like to be in the upper end here around 110,000. Does that align with your budget? What you're doing here is you're using specific numbers here. You're not just saying, I wanna be paid 6 figures. You're giving them very specific odd numbers here. 92K to 115, and I wanna be closer to the upper end around $110,000. Because I asked Kelvin, my recruiter friend, what if someone anchors too high? Doesn't that kill the deal? He said, I mean, it could. If they give a crazy number, it sometimes make them look like they don't know the market, and that's not the best look. But more often than not, most people don't say a number high enough, and really only look bad if they can't justify it. If they bring data and sound calculated and sound confident, I respect it. We might not hit that number exactly, but we'll get closer than if they never asked. You hear what Kelvin said? It's all about the ask. Sometimes it's more important to even make the ask than to throw out a crazy number. I'd rather you make a crazy ask than not ask at all. You want to negotiate, and that's what recruiters and hiring managers respect, and it's often gonna be the reason why you get paid here, now, and in the future. So now you know you wanna make the ask, and before your next negotiation, know these 5 tactics that are gonna help you get paid. With all these tactics that I just discussed, remember that negotiation isn't a confrontation, it's a collaboration. I don't want you to go in, read that book, Never Split the Difference, and do everything verbatim, or even say the scripts that I said verbatim. It's all about understanding the audience and tweaking as you go, adjusting for who you're speaking to. You wanna make it a win-win. And maybe even most important, keep in mind to make the ask, but also remember that the company wants to hire you. They wouldn't go through all this whole process and interview you and spend all this time, resources to court you if they didn't want you. So they've already decided in their mind, we want this person, how can we get it? Now you're just figuring out the terms together, and that's the side of negotiation. You're not gonna get everything you want, and they're not gonna get everything you want. That's what this is all about, finding a win-win and a good balance for both sides. So I hope this makes you feel more confident in your style of negotiations, and I want you to come back next week for another video to help you get hired, get paid, and work happier.